Hello YouTube, this is Fast J, and today we're going to talk about what's next for Street Fighter 6. So Street Fighter was the first fighting game franchise I played as a little kid, so I really have fond memories of it. And I'm really looking forward to what's Capcom going to do with the next game in this franchise. So today I'll give my take on what Street Fighter 6 should be to make it a better game than Street Fighter 5. So first off, Street Fighter 6 should have a full game at launch. Looking at Street Fighter 5, it was in my opinion a mistake to release the game in such a bare bones state, with the base roster only having like 12 or 15 characters to begin with. It just wasn't enough. A lot of fans that had their favorite character being cut off the roster was just not a great move, and in my opinion they should really change that and address that with the new game at launch. Looking at the competition they having this year, with games like KOF releasing with 49 characters, it would not be acceptable to have Street Fighter 6 released with only 10 to 15 characters at launch, or 12 to 15. They would have a hard time releasing a game in with that many characters at launch. So next up, I would say also something that's in my opinion kind of a no-brainer: improved online netcode. Better netcode is something that the Street Fighter franchise have always struggled with ever since it had an online mode. And looking at the netcode of Street Fighter 5 specifically, it wasn't the best. Sometimes you would have a pretty stable connection and it was kind of playable, and the other times it was really kind of bad. So in my opinion, they should really focus on improving that and making the game better at launch. I was happy that they had some betas with Street Fighter 5, but in my opinion the game still after all those beta wasn't that great when it came to the online portion. So in my opinion they should do as many betas as they need and should fix the online mode first before releasing the game, because in my opinion that's definitely one of the priorities of this game to make it as successful as Street Fighter 4 and 5 could have been. So next up, I would say change the juggling system and add some more depth in the air combat. So looking at Street Fighter 4 again, Street Fighter 4 had an amazing juggling system, and in my opinion doing an FADC was just one of those amazing things that made that game so great. It really felt satisfying. It showed the difference between whom are good players and who were great players. And that depth is something that in my opinion missed in the juggling system that SF5 had. It just wasn't that appealing, and SF5 lacked that in my opinion. So hopefully add more depth by adding a system that's kind of similar to something that we had in Street Fighter 4. And also they could maybe add more depth in air combat, just like games like Gold Gear give their fighting game players. So hopefully Capcom will improve the juggling system in Street Fighter 6. The next point is legacy and nostalgia first, and more seasonal content. So in my opinion they should add more legacy characters and stages first, and it also coincides with the earlier point that they should have a full game at launch and have more legacy characters than stages. Street Fighter should be more focused on this in my opinion, because when you compare it again to Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4 pulled in back a lot of old veterans and newcomers alike because of the legacy characters and the legacy stages they had in that game. Capcom doesn't really have an excuse to not do this. Street Fighter has a long history and legacy of characters to choose from, so in my opinion this should be a no-brainer. And they should really learn from what they did with Street Fighter 5, having a bare bones game at launch, and making players wait on indirectly on a super or an ultra or an arcade edition of the game to get their character back. And that was just not a good strategy in my opinion. What they did right in Street Fighter 5 and should do more in Street Fighter 6 in my opinion is add even more seasonal content to keep players engaged, and reward the returning players in a way. Hopefully it's not only pay content, because if it's only that, then in my opinion it would be a Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 5 plus, something like that, and that wouldn't be great in my opinion. Next up, interactable stages. So looking at also at other fighting games, they should add more depth to the stages. Even though Street Fighter series has brought some great stages to the table, they kind of lacked in the fact that those stages weren't very interactable. They had some nice animations here and there, but overall the stages were kind of bland. And specifically when looking at Street Fighter 5, they had some okay stages in my opinion. And then they should add more interactability into the stages. They shouldn't go all out with it, but adding a few things like certain platforms that could be broken, or maybe doors, or maybe ways to open up the stage a bit more. Those would be great improvements in my opinion, to make it also more pleasant to look at from a casual point of view. So interactable stages, I hope they add that to this game. Next up is fixing the input delay. So what I find kind of strange about Street Fighter 6 is that it seemed purposely worsened the input delay in that game compared to Street Fighter 5. It was just like Tekken 7, and Street Fighter 5 had worse input delay than its predecessor, and it was by design and partially by the switch to Unreal Engine. And in my opinion, this was not the best move for the series. Street Fighter should, in my opinion, feel fluid and give players more confidence to change their strategy on the fly. By having less delay, they can switch easier from footsies to pokes and so forth. So changing input delay to a lower value should this time around give player more control over their character, and should be better in my opinion. Next point is RE engine and 120 Hz. In my opinion, they should add a 120 Hz mode and switch to the RE engine. I know that last point isn't easy to do, but I hope they have switched to the RE engine, because it would give them much more advantages than disadvantages. The RE engine itself would definitely improve the prior point of having a lower input delay, because the RE engine is it's an in-house engine from Capcom themselves. They have multiple studios developing with it, so they have internal knowledge that they can leverage on using this engine, and they also know how to make that engine have low input delay. So in my opinion, that should definitely be added to the game. I don't expect Capcom to add 120 Hz mode, but in my opinion it should be a good addition to the game to also fix the prior point, and that is the lower input delay and having smoother gameplay overall. But we'll have to just wait and see. And also as a great bonus, the RE engine games mostly look great, so looking if it's pretty to look at, that's a great bonus in my opinion, right? So we'll have to wait and see. Next point, guest characters. So Street Fighter hasn't had many guest characters in the past, definitely when you compare it to other fighting games, but in my opinion it would be great to add some guest characters to the Street Fighter roster. Maybe they could add 1 or 2 guest characters this time around and pick them from game series like King of Fighters, Killer Instinct, or maybe even a 3D fighting game like Virtua Fighter. We have to wait and see, but in my opinion it would be a great addition to the base roster by adding a few guest characters in. And the last point is, in my opinion, better music. So overall, I don't think that Street Fighter 5 had the worst music in the series, but it could have been better. The songs just weren't as epic as Street Fighter 4 in my opinion. They were kinda generic, mediocre, and seeing what Capcom has done in the past, I'm like, bring back some songs, or songs in the style of Third Strike or maybe Street Fighter 4, because those games had better music in my opinion. So I really do hope that they look at the past and add some more flavor to their music this time around, because Street Fighter V definitely wasn't it in my opinion. So yeah, what do you think about Street Fighter 6? What should Street Fighter 6 be to you? Tell us in the comments down below. And yeah, that was it for this video actually. I hope you like this video. If you like more content like this, just subscribe to the channel. And thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys at my next one. Take care.